So, polarized training or 80-20 training. What is it? How do you do it? And what can it do for your running? Let's talk about it. So, welcome back to Stevo Runs, the channel created for like-minded people looking to become fitter and healthier people. If that sounds like you, please hit the red subscribe button below here, and let's go on our running journeys together. Okay, so you've probably come across the name polarized training or 80-20 training if you like, on your fitness journey, or maybe you haven't. But polarized training is supposedly the holy grail of training for runners, and also for cyclists and skiing and other things alike, but for today we're focusing on for running. So the creator of polarized training is Dr. Stephen Seiler, who's known for his research on how elite endurance athletes actually train. And in his research, he discovered that most endurance athletes spend the majority of their training time, like 85 to 90% of it, at very low intensities. So that's below the first lactate or ventilatory threshold, with the remainder of the training time spent at high intensities, and that's above the second ventilatory or your lactate threshold, and that's with very little time spent in between, but I'll explain in more detail later. So Dr. Stephen Seiler actually started off by just following elite athletes around, and this is all sports. I think it started off with some skiers, and it went on to cycling, and he's done all sorts. And it seems that people seem to naturally slip into 80-20 training. Most of the people that he monitored over the years did 80-20 without even realizing. Sometimes it's 85-15 and so on, but people generally, people have evolved to just make this the natural way to train, so you can train enough without burning yourself out. So that 20% is just enough speed work for you to progress in getting faster, and the 80% part is sort of so easy to do that you're always recovering. You could do it daily if you wish. So that's what he found, and that's why he's made this as 80-20 so popular. It just seems to be a winner. This training is not new though, and it goes further back to people like Arthur Lydiard, who is worldwide known legendary running coach. I'll let you check the history of all that though, because the video is just going to get too long. Another great resource for this method is the 80-20 running by Matt Fitzgerald, which has the method in finer details and will give you some great workout examples too. Race plans also in there to get you into full swing, and it also gives you the history of how we come to doing 80-20. It's well worth a read, but I'll keep this simple for you today. So let's get stuck into it, explain how it works, and then I'll put an example of my 80-20 training on for this week as I prepare for my first marathon in May. So this method can work for anyone at any level, but would maybe be better for people that have a little bit of experience, in my opinion. If you're brand new to running, then I personally would recommend doing pretty much all your training at low intensities, as I'll explain, whilst you build a solid base. But if you've been doing it for a few months and you can run 4 or 5 times a week, then this method will 100% push you on to the next level. The best thing is, it's really quite simple to do as well. Right, so here's the graph which is used by Dr. Stephen Seiler, which I'm hoping is fine for me to use, as he likes to try and teach people anyway. And it makes it easier to understand what needs to be done to do the polarized or 80-20 method. So, looking at the graph, it shows what metrics we need to get going. It also shows you the intensities of which the lactate becomes most prevalent in your blood by looking at the curved line. And as you can see, when staying at low intensity, then the lactate comes in small enough amounts for the body to be able to clear it efficiently. Now, you ideally need to know your max heart rate, as you can see by the line at the end. And with this, you can work out the 2 thresholds that you want to work above and below. The idea is to work below ventilatory threshold 1, which is roughly 80% of the max heart rate, and then work above ventilatory threshold 2, or your lactate threshold, which is roughly 87% of your max heart rate. If you have some recent readings, then VT1 is the 2 millimoles of lactate in the blood, and VT2 is where there is 4 millimoles of lactate in the blood. These would be the numbers for you to use for great accuracy, but The 80% and 87% is the best guess and matches my numbers quite well, so it's all good. And so now comes the 80-20 part of the method. It's quite simple. Do 80% of your workouts below the ventilatory threshold 1 or in zone 2 and below. Now this may be slower than you would like, but it needs to be below this number for your body to adapt, to grow your network of blood vessels that deliver the oxygen to your muscles during your runs, and to continue building a solid foundation. It also brings on so many other benefits of running slow, but so many to list. The other 20% wants to be done above the lactate threshold or in zone 4 and 5. So these are hard efforts like threshold runs, tempo runs, intervals, marathon and half marathon pace runs, hill sprints, etc, etc. So for me, my lactate threshold, as according to my lab test, is 170. So all my runs recently for my week have had to be above 170 to get the benefits of the hard runs. So for runners, you will calculate the percentages from the duration of your weekly runs. So to keep it simple, if you work out for 5 hours over the week, then 4 hours are easy and 1 hour is moderate to hard. And what you need to remember is that you're only counting the times that you are running hard during the interval sessions. The slow runs in between the fast intervals all count towards 80%. And that's the same with the warm-up and the cool-down. So you need to pick the fast bits out and only count them for the 20% part. So I would just show you a quick example of my weekly running during 80-20 for this week, which should explain how to calculate it a bit easier. So I've run 4 times this week as usual. Tuesday was easy effort for 55 minutes at below ventilatory threshold, which is for me is 150 beats per minute. Thursday was the same, easy for 55 minutes. Saturday was 5 times 5 minute intervals, which was a 15-minute warm-up, which remember counts towards the easy count, and then 5 hard efforts above 170 with easy 2-minute recoveries. Sunday was a long run day, and I threw in some hard efforts sporadically just to make up the percentages for the week. So my total for the week was 258 minutes, 235 of which were easy and 33 of which were moderate and hard, making my percentages 87% by 13% hard. So not 20% this week, but it was perfect for my second week of marathon training, and I'll get nearer next week. But that's an example of how 80-20 is done. It really does not have to be that exact. As long as you're there or thereabouts, it's all good. 85%, 75%, just try and get it around the 20 area. So the idea in all this is to spend minimal time in zone 3, also known as the grey zone. And did you know that almost all recreational runners spend the majority of their running time in this zone just naturally? I did it myself, just because it feels right, not too slow and not too fast, but this also is a zone which is too close to the edge of getting the benefits of running fast or running slow. The body doesn't define it if you're running fast or slow in this area. It doesn't make the certain adaptations that you get from the fast and or slow running. So that's why we don't tend to use it as much. Now it is okay to run here, but it gives you the least benefits, and that is why 80-20 works so well. Maximum benefits from a perfect blend of building base and running fast without having to rest too often whilst you recover. Also, a quick note on mathotone method. For all you runners that do math, I personally think it's fine to blend these two, and math kind of slips into 80-20 in the later stages anyway, as you start to throw harder efforts in to progress. So you don't need to ditch math. Like myself, I just use math as your slow run intensity. I do 20% as moderate to hard intensity, which Dr Phil Maffetone recommends anyway, so you're all good. Carry on with your math and make it an 80-20. Please let me know your experiences with 80-20 and if it went well or not. I'm using it for my first ever marathon at the start of May, so I'm going to document it all for you, and let's see if it helps me to get towards my target of a sub 3:30 marathon. Hopefully so. So thank you for watching. Please hit the red subscribe button below. Let's go along our journeys together. I've got a Strava and Instagram and a Twitter if you're into all that sort of stuff as well. And it'd be nice to have you on board, to be honest. So thanks for joining me again. I'll see you on the next one. Stevo runs.